Welcome back to Free Tendies Fantasy Degenerate Episode 2. I'm here with Yanni, and we're out to give winners today. How's it going, man?
What's up, dude?
All right. So let's go ahead and start with our week one recap. We both went 3-2, which was pretty good. We had some good takes in there and some bad takes in there. I'll go ahead and start off with my lock of the week, the Bengals. It was entirely the wrong side. I looked like a big dumb stooge. It sucks, but it happens. It's week one. Joe Burrow didn't look prepared or ready to go at all. The Browns defense looked like the 86 Bears. And yeah, I was just totally on the wrong side. I got Deshaun Watson done. I'll just take that L. Not even close. The Jags minus 4.5. It was technically the right side. I won the bet, but that was a sweat. I think I said, what did I say? It might be over by halftime, and you'll say thanks, Ted, for a great bet. And we were holding on for dear life at the end of the game there when Gardner Minshew came in. So you know what? Sometimes in gambling you get lucky, and I'll take it. I'll take it. The Eagles minus 4. That was one me and Yanni were on, our first ever free tendies consensus of the week. That was another one that seemed like a total mismatch. The Patriots came to play. That was way more close than I would have liked it to be, and ultimately a holding call on the 2-point conversion is what helped the Eagles cover. So fair play again. Got pretty lucky, but I'll take the win. I'm going to skip the Packers one for now because Yanni picked that game too, and I kind of want to hear his thoughts on it. And then the Bills minus 2.5 didn't come home. Here's the deal. I'm not here to give you. I'm not here to give out shitty bets and then tell you why I was right about it afterwards. I'm not trying to be a smart guy. I'm here trying to win bets, right? And I'm convinced the Bills was the right side. That was an all-time melt from them on Monday night. Josh Allen went out on the corner and sold the game. It was embarrassing. He's got to take care of the football, and the Jets return the punt, which I mean, fair play to the Jets without Aaron Rodgers. Zach Wilson did what he needed to do, I guess. But yeah, that was a tough one, but it was an already busted parlay, courtesy of the Bengals. So in terms of the bottom line, it wasn't the worst thing in the world.
Yeah, mine are pretty straightforward. The two that I can get to really quickly is just the Falcons and Niners are a lot better than the market feels like they are. Um, Nothing too interesting to say there. People were wrong about how they assessed those two teams. I'm very curious to see how the Falcons match up with Green Bay this week. And then the Eagles, we already went over, of course. The Seahawks are kind of interesting. It's kind of hard to say what happened with the Seahawks game. They did lose tackles during that game. They're now going to start the oldest tackle that started in the history of the NFL this week. Their O-line didn't do very well. Again, it's really hard to say. Did the Rams way overperform? Did the Seahawks underperform? I don't know. I'm inclined to say the Seahawks are better than they look, and the Rams aren't as good as they look. But either way, that's a miss. And then for the Bears are kind of interesting to say what happened. I think it's kind of important to say what happened. Like we're all sports fans. We all love good stories. I think this offseason, the Bears felt like a great story. Their GM seems pretty competent. They've made some big moves. They added big pieces. They, got the big trading out of one. And it felt to everyone like, oh, this is that Jalen Hurts like jump for Justin Fields. And I said it when I made the pick. I got a little emotional. I probably picked with my heart, not my head, and it blew my parlay and it killed my winning week. I'm sitting there in the red after a winning week. It kills me. But lesson learned. That's the way it goes. You do not bet. You do not bet on a good story. That does not help you at all. Nobody cares. Nobody cares. The world doesn't care. The sports world doesn't care. What happens on the field doesn't care. The ball don't lie. I got caught up in a good story and I paid for it.
Fair enough. Fair enough. I gotta say, it feels really good to get the first head to head. Without further ado, let's reveal this week's picks. All right. I will start first because last time we did this, we forgot to kind of say what our picks are. I had to edit it in afterwards. So my picks this week are the FTP parlay. If you know what that means, good job. This is a YouTube channel though, and we're professionals. So my FTP parlay is the Bills minus 8.5, the 49ers minus 7, and the Giants minus 4.5. And then my last two games I have action are the Jets plus 9.5 and the Saints minus 3. looking at a total cost of all of those bets of $300. If that parlay hits, if the FTP parlay hits, we're looking at 711.57, and then the Jets and Saints together could potentially get 381.30. So if everything goes great, if I have a 5-0 week, I'm looking at $1,092.87 in my pocket, which is a lot of Happy Meals.
Yeah, for me, I have the Bucks minus 2.5. We agree on the 49ers minus 7, Chiefs minus 3.5, Chargers minus 3, and then we agree on the Saints minus 3. Total wager $500, total return $959.97, and I learned my lesson about parlays. I'm out on them this week.
Man, that's soft. And just for the fans, all two of our fans at home, when I ask Yanni for his picks, he doesn't know my picks either. I put in my picks on Thursday morning, and then I asked for Yanni's on Thursday afternoon. So he has no idea what I picked, and we just happened to both land on the Niners and Saints. So without further ado, let's get into the game breakdown. The first one is me. It's the Raiders at Bills, and I am laying 8.5 with Buffalo. The over-under is 47 points. 57% of the money is on the Raiders this week, and 59% of the bets are on the Raiders this week. To me, this game is just a total talent mismatch. You couldn't melt worse than the Bills melted on Monday night. The Raiders were riding high off of beating Sean Payton and the Russell Wilson-led Denver Broncos in Week 1. I think that right now people are kind of freaking out about the Bills already. And I think we're underestimating the Raiders' propensity to stink, and we're just kind of discounting the Bills a little bit here. So I'm buying the dip. All 8.5 is a lot of points. That's not close. That's not laying 2. I'm laying 8.5. I see this one being just a total blowout. It's the Bills' home opener. Josh Allen, he looked like. Let's be honest, he looked terrible last week. I expect him to come out mad. I expect the entire Bills team to come out mad. They let that one slip through their fingers. And the other thing to keep in mind is that the Bills just hate running the ball more than anything else. They hate turning around, giving it to their running backs. They hate making things easy. They want to throw on you 50 times a game. So I expect Josh Allen to just carve up this Raiders secondary. I could see him dropping a 35-40 burger on him. I think it's important to note, I have here the Jimmy G factor. Jimmy G, former 49ers great, is the new leader of the Las Vegas Raiders. And quite frankly, he has a pretty impressive regular season win-loss record as a quarterback. He's won a lot of games. I think that a lot of people think that he's a winner, and he has a proven track record of being a winner. That being said, I have had to watch so much Jimmy G on the 49ers. He was a player that it just felt like no matter what we did, we couldn't get rid of him. Even last year when like Jimmy G, it was after the NFC Championship game, and he like went to the podium and said, "Thank you guys so much for the great opportunity," all this stuff. He was basically out until until like the very, very beginning, like right before the season started, and they just kept him on the team because nobody wanted him, and he didn't impress me last year. I think he's been the same guy for the past 4 years. I don't see him being able to go over the top of this Bills defense. I don't see him being able to put up a lot of points against a very good team. And quite frankly, I'm not worried about Jimmy at all, even though he is a proven winner. So yeah, I mean, and I guess the last thing I'll say on this, if Buffalo doesn't blow out the Raiders here, I am freaking out and sounding the alarms. There's been a lot of negative coverage on the Bills this offseason from the Diggs dissatisfaction in leaving training camp to everything else. Week 1 was not a great start for them. And I view the Raiders as kind of a bottom of the barrel team in this league. So this should be a blowout. And if it isn't, I'm not saying never picking the Bills again, but I am viewing them as an entirely different team if they can't just easily handle this one.
Okay, next one's mine, and it's one I'm kind of happy to make this pick in in retrospect, especially piggybacking off of what I said about my picks last week, and that's going to be the Bucks minus 2.5 over the Bears. Generally speaking, minus 2.5 is the best line in football. If you're gonna take a bet, you want the field goal. And in general with this game, I think it's pretty straightforward. I think the Vikings are actually a tougher play than people think. I mean, they gave the Philly all they could handle: 3 turnovers, 3 fumbles, and one of them was a 10-point swing in the game, and they only beat them by 6 points, and that's for the best roster in football. So the fact that the Bucks handled them pretty well and actually held their offense in check, to me, bodes well for their chances against the Bears. I think the Bears looked like a mess as far as giving Justin Fields time. They looked like a mess defensively. We talked about that in our starts and sits episode. And I think the Buccaneers have legit weapons. They're going in there with Mike Evans. They're going in there with Chris Godwin. They're going in there with White, who I really like. He's a guy I've been trying to buy low on all week before I think he goes off this week. I don't see the game script favoring I think the Bears, if they get down a little bit and have to start airing it out, I think it's going to be a mess. I don't know why everyone thinks the Buccaneers are like this poverty franchise. That defense is mostly intact from the Super Bowl the run they went on. The O-line's pretty good. Like, they usually have pretty good O-linemen, and the weapons are still there. I know Baker Mayfield's kind of a meme at this point, but I believe in him this week. I'm taking the bet. I don't think the Bears will be able to stop him.
Also important to note that 77% of the money is on the Bears in this game, and only 44% of the bets are on the Bears this game, which means there's some giant whale money coming in on Chicago, and Yanni is going against the wise guys on this one. Are you nervous at all about going against the wise guys, Yanni?
No, I mean, well, I actually do really respect large bettors are people that are putting their money where their mouth is regularly. These are people with experience in the market. And that stat that Colin always likes to quote on his picks episode about 24-1 teams that get blown out by double digits are 24-1 when they come back against a team that won or covered the spread the week before. So the general belief, I guess, in the betting community is that these two teams are being over and undervalued, respectively. And I think that's probably right a lot of the time. I just think in this case, what I saw from the Bears was terrifying defensively. So no, I'm totally comfortable with this bet. Completely comfortable with it.
Yeah, that's fair. And I guess to build off one other point you brought up, I think that everybody is convinced the Bucks are a poverty franchise because Baker Mayfield is their quarterback. I mean, I don't know. I thought he looked decent last week. I'm not sure how sticky that's going to be. I'm not sure how great he'll be for the rest of the season. But, I mean, this Bears defense looked terrible. I'm in on Baker having a big game. Yeah. Next, we have the 49ers going to Levi's South to play the Rams. This is our first consensus pick of the week. The 49ers are 7-point favorites. The over-under in the game is 44.5. And 79% of the money is on the Niners this week, and 70% of the bets are on the 49ers this week. Like I've said before, we call it Levi's South because every single time we play the Rams in LA, it's probably like 75 to 80% Niners fans to 20% actual Rams fans. Shout out Kelly Stafford for getting us motivated to go down there. You guys got a nice stadium. It's a good time.
That was amazing, dude. I had a blast going to excellent venue, like the craziest venue I've ever been to for a sporting event.
Yeah, it's crazy. If you've never been to SoFi, it's like underground. So when you walk into like the front door, like you're basically going down into like a cavern, which is where the stadium is. It's like underground. It's really interesting.
It feels like it's like air conditioned in there and stuff. It's awesome.
But enough talking nice about this team. We're going to kick their butts. The Rams don't stand a chance. The Niners are 7-1 in the last 8 games against the Rams, ATS. This is a matchup of 1-0 teams. The Niners just came out and it just dominated the Steelers week 1. All the sharps said that they weren't going to look good. All the sharps are picking the Steelers. I even saw some people picking Steelers money line. Kyle Shanahan went and he just he ate their lunch. We'll say that. And the Rams had a nice week 1 surprise win over the Seahawks. I don't think a lot of people had that. Matthew Stafford looked very, very good. Tutu Atwell and Puka Nacua put on a show. And yeah, just overall, I think that the Rams are really good. Here's the deal, though. With two teams coming like into the game with pretty good momentum, we're calling this one a reality check for the Rams. I'm on the record. I know Yanni was saying he doesn't really know about the Seahawks. I'm going on record and saying the Seahawks are going to be not that great this year. I'm calling the Seahawks being this year's version of the Broncos, just the overhyped dark horse that everybody talks about so much. They aren't a dark horse anymore, that just ends up having too many problems to be a successful team that everybody thought they would be in preseason. Brock Purdy, he's back and he looks great. Last week against the Steelers, he orchestrated the offense. He was making all the throws. I believe he had the highest quarterback rating in the league last week, which is par for the course for him. Last year, when he took over as the starter for the 49ers, he led the league over every other quarterback in quarterback rating. And CMC is still a dog and as explosive as ever. So it just seems like a talent mismatch to me. It seems like the Rams played over their skis on week one, and fair play to them, good for them. The buck stops here for them. Yanni, do you have any thoughts on this one? Why we're so right and why we're going to dog walk the Rams on Sunday?
Well, dude, I mean, again, right? The one game that the one game they lost was the one that mattered, right? So this is, I mean, that's a team I take really seriously. I have respect. Sean McVay and Matt Stafford are Super Bowl winners, man. It's a very good roster. I mean, it's not a very good roster. It's a respectable organization. They come in, they do not come in to lose. I just think, the weapon, Tutu Atwell and Kyron Williams, Christian McCaffrey, Brandon Ayuk, Deba, they don't match up. The defenses don't match up at all. And because the coaching staffs seem more or less equal, if you even want to say, I mean, debatable, but let's just say that they have an elite coaching staff like we do. Too many factors in the Niners' favor. I would not have taken it if it were over 7. I probably would not have taken this line because I do think these teams play each other really tight. It's usually not a blowout when they play. But I expect this one to be handled pretty easily.
Yeah, the line was it opened up at -8.5 Niners, and it came down to 7. I probably wasn't on this game either at 8.5. It's a lot of points to be giving, especially in a division rivalry. But you know what? 7, it's a solid number. If it's just a 1 touchdown game, it's a push. You don't lose, right? Like even 7.5, I might have laid. But yeah, 7's a good number. Take it. And yeah, the Niners are going to be 2-0. It's going to be awesome. Next, we have the Giants and the Cardinals. This is the third leg of my FTP parlay. And I'm taking the Giants -4.5. The over-under is 39.5. And 69% of the money is on the Giants this week, and 48% of the bets are on the Giants this week. Another 69-48 split, so I'm swimming with the whales yet again. This is pretty similar to my Bills pick. The Giants are coming off a horrible L on Sunday night, and the Cardinals look better than advertised against Washington. I think that everybody had pegged the Cardinals as probably the worst team in the league. The two that everybody was kind of talking about were like Cardinals and Rams, really, and the Cardinals almost beat the Commanders last week. I would argue that the Commanders handed the game to the Cardinals on a silver platter, and the Cardinals didn't take it versus the Cardinals actually playing well. But
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
That's how
I'm expecting New York to have a rebound here and put up some points on this one. I'm not sold on the Cardinals defense at all. They had 6 sacks last week against the Sam Howell-led Commanders. I don't see that happening in this one, even though the Giants had one of the worst blocking performances I've ever seen. I'm expecting a lot of screens and quick stuff to get the ball out of Dimes' hand pretty quick, and I'm expecting a big Saquon game. This is about as plus of a matchup as you can be for an elite running back. And, when you turn around and hand it off to Saquon, you don't have to have Dimes throwing the ball, which is a plus. So I see like a marginal rebound for Dimes, just a huge Saquon game here. And the last note I have on this is just the Cardinals' offense is just not good. Hopkins is out of town, Kyler's out, so you're rolling out there with Josh Dobbs as your starting quarterback. And even though the Giants' defense, I'm not calling them great, I have a hard time believing the Cardinals are going to score like 14 points on them. I think 14 points might be the high end of what they're able to get this week. So at a 4.5 line, it really is a question to me of if the Giants can put up like 20-ish points on the Cardinals. So I think anything in the low to mid 20s would be an easy Giants cover. So I'm in, and that's why I'm in.
Nothing to add to it. Pretty straightforward. Okay, this one's a pick of mine. I know 3.5 traditionally is not a great number. The way on Coward's betting show, the way that they talked about it was the sharps were all in on this game at 2.5, still pretty in at 3, and now everyone's out at 3.5. I understand that feeling. I understand why you're concerned. The Jaguars, to me, this year, coming into the year, I thought they were a fringe Super Bowl contender. I was extremely high on them. They have a Super Bowl winning head coach. They have an ascending quarterback. They have weapons that are right up there with anyone in the NFL. Even their third string, Zay Jones, was popping off last week. So it's an elite. It's a high-powered elite offense. And defensively, they've got some guys. But so in general, when you're looking at this game, 62% of the money's on the Chiefs, so we're swimming with the whales on that, even though the bets are 50-50. The Chiefs are coming off a tough loss, but they only gave up 14 points on defense. And they did that without their best offensive and defensive player, obviously barring Patrick Mahomes, which is Travis Kelce and Chris Jones, both of whom are going to be playing this week. I think the game's going to look very different for the Chiefs than it did. Frankly, too, it's a back against the wall game a little bit early. I guess 0-2 doesn't matter as much as it used to in the 17-game era that we're in now. But I think it does matter. Patrick Mahomes, when everything's on the line, we kind of know what we're going to get out of him, and what you're going to get is a generational type performance. At least that's what I'm betting on in this one. I think Travis Kelce coming back is a huge deal. I wouldn't be surprised to see him have 12, 13, 14 receptions. It's that kind of game. And then, again, the defense gave up 14 points without Chris Jones. They looked very promising. And I'm noticing, like, in daily fantasy pricing and in projections on Yahoo and whatnot, they're projecting it like Kansas City's defense is bad. I don't think they're bad this year at all. I think it's one of the best defenses Mahomes ever had. So for all those reasons, yeah, give me Mahomes and give me the Chiefs.
Yeah. Is Kelsey for sure back yet? Is he off the injury report? I haven't really noticed him come off.
He said he was back. I assume he wouldn't say that if he was.
Yeah, fair play. Kittle did that last week. For me, this was a stay away just because of the number, like you were talking about earlier, right? I think the Jaguars are a pretty competent team, and if stuff goes sideways and it goes to overtime or something, right, you basically have a much lower shot of getting out of there without an L at 3.5. So, I was off this game. I thought that the Jaguars looked a little shaky week one. Trevor made a lot of really great throws. Obviously, Calvin Ridley emerging as like still an alpha, right? I think that's that's positive for the Jaguars. But I think that the Chiefs probably win this one, especially if Kelsey comes back, and Chris Jones being in there is important too. All right, let's put on our hazmat suits for this one. This is going to be gross. I'm taking the Jets plus 9.5. I'm backing the Zach Wilson-led Jets. The over/under in this game is at 38.5. Earlier in the week, the line opened at 42.5 total points, which is also very low. But after the Rodgers injury, it shot down and it's continued to shoot down. It's at 38. When I made the slide, it was 38.5, but it's still continuing to go lower. Everybody and their mother is on the under in this game. 40% of the money is on the Jets ATS, and 47% of the bets are on the Jets ATS. So I'm kind of against the public here, and 7% isn't that much to say like there's huge whale money in it, but it seems like the bigger money bets are going on the Cowboys. And listen, I get it. The Cowboys couldn't have had a more impressive win week one, and the Jets just lost their star quarterback for the entire year. It's a tough shout, but for me, this is a matchup of two just probably top 3 units, maybe even the top 2 in the league. I think the Niners are in there somewhere, but both of these defenses are just outstanding. I think the quarterback play in this game is not going to be great, and 38.5 total points, and you're getting 9.5 is just so massive. That's a huge advantage to have. I would expect a low scoring, kind of gross game. But I mean, I bet you there will be a lot of turnovers in this game, a lot of weird stuff going on. But I do know that the Jets have a solid rushing attack. Breece Hall looked outstanding. I don't think you could possibly look better coming off an ACL than he did on Monday night. And, maybe there could be a defensive touchdown or something that the Jets get. The Jets defense might score more points than their offense in this game. But yeah, with a number like this, I just you just got to do it. It feels gross. I don't like telling you to bet on Zach Wilson, but it feels like it's the side here. So that's what I'm going with. Yanni, do you have anyone on this just snooze fest of a game?
No, I mean, my general read on the game is that it's going to be two teams who go, look, we just don't need to F this up, right? So we're just going to go and run the ball and play really conservative. I think both the teams will feel that way. I don't think they're going to try to air it out with Dak. I would be really surprised if that's the plan of attack. I think they're going to try to grind the ball. And I would say the Jets certainly will. So if that's the case, right, shortened number of plays, shortened game time, low scoring game, 9.5 is a big spread to give. So I understand. I understand betting the underdogs here.
Yeah.
All right. Chargers, Titans. This one's mine. I do not feel good about it. Like it's one of those ones where you bet it, and I'm like, more so because the Chargers they're so good on paper. They're such a sick roster from head to toe, really. Their offense is stacked. They keep drafting premium linemen. They went and got a premium lineman in free agency a few years ago. They have a ton of first round and highly paid defensive players on the other side of the ball, and their coaching staff appears to be garbage. It probably one of the hottest seats in the NFL early here. I wouldn't be surprised to see that be one that pops off pretty early. So, it's a scary bet to place. I'm swimming with the whales. 65% of the money's on them as opposed to 56% of the bets. So they are getting the larger quantity bets being put on them. And I think it's pretty straightforward. I look at it like the Titans do not have a good O-line at all. The Titans are basically just Derrick Henry and Hopkins. Hopkins is a little bit injured this week. I think they said that he's going to go into the game officially questionable, but it didn't sound good. His practice pattern was not encouraging this week. I wouldn't be surprised if he misses. I think Tannehill's probably a shot fighter. I don't think they're going to be able to hold up against the pass rush. And I don't think, especially if the Chargers get up by 10 or 14 early, and then they have to start airing it out, they can't just grind out the ball. I see no way they win the game. So it's just about to what degree do you think the coaching staff can swing the game? And to me, it's not 3 points. That's not should not be that large of a delta between the coaching staffs. I think the talent's going to win out for the Chargers. I wouldn't be excited. I wouldn't be excited to have too many shares of the Titans offense, whether it's in fantasy or betting this year. I think their team's not going to hold up well as the season goes on.
Yeah, that's fair. I guess this one was like when you turned in your picks, this was my like probably biggest question mark that I saw on your card, just because of the way this matchup profiles. Last year, the Chargers were a bottom 2 run defense, and that is all the Titans are good at doing. So I could see this being a massive just Derrick Henry game. I don't think they're going to ask Tannehill to do very much at all, especially if Hopkins is out. But frankly, that might be a better thing for them, right? Like don't even get the idea of giving the ball to Tannehill. Just let's turn around and give it to our best player. And I mean, you've mentioned it. I'll just mention it again. The Brandon Staley factor cannot be said enough. It cannot be overstated. It's this is the quintessential like roster versus coaching matchup, because I'm with you. Like the Chargers roster is awesome. They have no business losing this game, but I don't know how many times I've seen Brandon Staley find a way to make the other team look better. So yeah, it was a stay away from me, but I mean, just based on talent, the Chargers should win this. We'll see what happens, right? That's why they play the games.
Well, remember too, right? If the game gets out of hand even a little bit, is it unforeseeable to you that they're down 14-3 at some point, or 14-0? Maybe it's like a little later in the game, or like 21-10 or 21-7. At that point, it is kind of hard for the Titans to grind out the game. They'll probably keep doing it because they don't have a choice. But if they're facing a high caliber offense, you sort of see that Derrick Henry factor getting mitigated as the game gets later and later. We'll see. We'll see. It's definitely risky.
Also, no Eckler this game either. No Eckler this game against a very, very stout run-stopping defense in the Titans. This profiles to be a huge Herbert game. Like just on paper, Herbert should be throwing it all over the yard against these guys. Last year, Herbert was a little bit disappointing. I'm a Herbert truther. I'm a super big believer in his talent and the Chargers' talent on the outside. Are you throwing up the warning flags if they don't have a good game against the Titans on this one, at least from the passing attack? Is the Titans haven't stopped anybody throwing the ball in like 2 or 3 years.
Warning flags for what, like fantasy or for the team in general? What do you mean?
Both. Like for me, I viewed Herbert as a top 5 fantasy quarterback this year. Like,
Dude, he's great. He had a good week one. He had a good week one. No, I'm not. No, to me, what it probably means is, do you know who it's a warning flag for? Is Brandon Staley, because he's gonna be fired, and it's gonna be Kellen Moore's team to run. To me, I wouldn't. The only way they lose this game, in my opinion, is situationally or defensively, which are both Brandon Staley's domain. So, like, offensively, I perceive them to be the high-flying, high-caliber passing offense that they were last week, that they've been, in years past. I really liked the way the offense looked up-paced, high-paced. It looked much more current to the NFL, to what they're doing. It looked way more intricate, kind of a lot of the hallmarks of what Brandon Staley likes to do. So, would I be concerned if he comes out and throws for like 170 yards and a touchdown? Yeah, that's probably not good. But I also would be stunned if that's the outcome of this game.
Fair enough. All right, let's get to the next one. And this is the first Monday Night Football game. There's 2 of them on this Monday, in case you didn't already know. But this is another consensus pick of me and Yanni. And we're both on the Saints -3. The over-under in this game is 40 points. 56% of the money is on the Saints, and 44% of the bets are on the Saints. So you got a 12-point difference. The big money is leaning towards the Saints. For me, I can't speak for Yanni, but for me, this is not so much a bet on the Saints as much as a bet against what the Panthers got going on right now. That offensive performance was less than inspiring, and the Saints have a good defense. I think Bryce Young is going to have another tough one. And I thought Derek Carr looked serviceable last week. They didn't score a ton of points against the Titans, but they were able to move the ball effectively. I don't think the Panthers are going to be as bad defending the pass as the Titans, so I could see a more balanced game plan coming into this one. I could see Jamal Williams getting a little bit more involved than he was last week and looking a little bit better than he was last week, but the number's good to me. And yeah, I guess I'll take the Saints. Like, I don't feel great about betting on this one, but it just seems like it's too few points for a much better side, in my opinion.
Right. And last week, so you kind of get the idea of what the Panthers are going for offensively, and that's why they went out and paid Miles Sanders. They gave him 18 carries, 6 targets. So 24 opportunities to Miles Sanders last week. And like the Saints did a pretty good job of stuffing Derrick Henry and Spears last week. So it's like that kind of feels like their main way to attack a team right now, because Bryce Young doesn't look like he's quite ready to be airing it out. I mean, Hayden Hurst led the team in targets. Adam Thielen, the ghost of Adam Thielen. So generally speaking, I would expect the Saints to be able to handle him pretty easily on defense. And then they got run out of the building last week against the Falcons. And not that the Saints are as good of a rushing game as the Falcons. They're not close. But Williams is pretty solid. They do seem to have like an organizational philosophy around running the football. They really like to pound the rock, right? So it feels like, contain Bryce Young, contain the Panthers, get a little bit of a lead, grind out the game. I think that's very doable. Obviously, you prefer -2.5, but 3 is still pretty good. I don't see the Panthers putting up a lot of points in this one, and they looked vulnerable against the run. I think they're gonna give up some points and some yards, and then knock them back.
Yeah, and I thought this was kind of interesting. The Panthers let Bryce Young throw 40 times week 1. So I think that the returns on that weren't too great, and I would expect more Miles Sanders this game. He's their entire offense. I'm not inspired by any other of the Panthers' weapons. So yeah, I mean I agree with you. It's the Saints, never a doubt.
I don't know, man. It's way too early to say. It's just a game or whatever, and there's obviously time to develop, and maybe I'll look really silly. I would not have gone up and given 3 ones for Bryce Young. I would not. I would not be comfortable right now if I were a Panthers fan. You know how my rankings were. I had Stroud and Richardson above him. And so it's just in general, I don't know. We'll see. He's getting 2 stout defenses to start his career. He did not do well against the first one.
All right, and that is going to do it for us. If you made it through the whole video, thank you. We tried to speed this one along a little bit more, make it more digestible. But please like, subscribe, and let us know which game you like the most this week in the comments. Let us know your favorite pick of the week, either against the spread, money line, or over under, and throw it in the comments. We need more engagement. We're on the road to 100 subs. We already have 10, so we only need 90 more, and then I'll be very happy.
Technically, 10 is on the road to 100,000 subs, so we're doing pretty well.
Yeah.
Pretty happy.
Just one drop in the bucket, but I mean, man, if we get 10 subs a week, every week we do this, man, we're going to be rolling in it in no time. But anyways, thanks again, guys. Like I said, like, subscribe, and we'll catch you next time.